in my many years of dealing with women, if there's something that I've never really understood, it's this thing of whenever they see a really fine nigger, they have this thing where they're like, I want to sit on his face. I want to sit on your face. Like, I never really understand why it is that they'd want to do that. Like, it's not like us guys ever look at babes and are like, you know what? She has such a fine face. I'd want her to suck my dick. Like, I've never really understood the logic in that.
Get ready for the battle of the sexes.
Like, honestly, I've never really found out how it is that makes sense for people. But anyways, I don't know. Like, shorties like it. Like, I'd have thought that it's something that they'd have wanted to do to the ugly guys. Because let's be completely honest. Like, 80% of you women, whenever you decide to sit on a nigger's face, it's not like you see the nigger because there's so much obstruction. I'm not fat shaming you guys, but you know, it's the truth. Some of y'all just let yourselves go, and that was before Corona. So even when the Rona came through, you know, you just let yourselves go a little bit more. So you tell the nigga that you want to sit on his face, and all I see is smothering and, you know, a chance where you don't get to see his face. So I've never really understood it. But anyways, we might as well get on with the podcast. So let's just start this properly. Welcome to Break Time on Westside, your number one break time podcast, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya. The man on the mic is a man who does not believe in face sitting, mostly because he doesn't understand it. But besides that, he also does not understand G-Sports. The man on the mic is none other than I, Sir Denver B. The show is Battle of the Sexes. And I'm not gonna lie, I was actually supposed to talk about a very, very different thing than what it is that I am going to talk about. Now, as some of y'all might have actually heard, there was a story about a lady who had outed herself as HIV positive and had been banging a crap ton of guys and had been intentionally infecting them. And that was what I was going to talk about. But because the matter that I need to discuss is a bit of a pressing matter, I'll just sort of brush over this one real quick. So the shorty in question, who just so happened to be pretty good at infecting people with HIV, is none other than a woman called Harriet Akunava. And she had this thing where she would bang a lot of guys. She knew that she was HIV positive, but she would insistently bang them raw. And for most of us guys, especially if you don't present the option for us, you know, going in strapped, then, you know, raw is law and the law is raw. So of course we're gonna go in, of course we're gonna hit it, but we usually do that with the trust that, you know, you're not gonna try and switch up and, you know, try and like make a baby from our genetics and also not infect us with any STDs or HIV of that shit. But this shorty did exactly that. She actually sort of broke that trust. Now, according to the Kenyan law, and I'm not sure, I think it applies in other countries around the world, but according to the Kenyan law, if you purposefully infect someone, it's actually a criminal offense and you can be tried in court and sentenced to jail. But I don't know, like, I bet the world will find a way to deal with this shorty. And apparently it's not just her, there's other people that do that. And it's not the first time that it's happened. So I will discuss this because I know that this is something that affects a lot of guys and a lot of women, because the girls got infected as well, but indirectly. Because imagine the guy that'll go and smash that babe as like a one night stand. Obviously there's us niggas, there's even shorties that'll go and bang someone even before you know their name properly. Hell, you probably forgot their name. Hell, you don't even know their second name. You met them and a couple of hours, even a couple of minutes later, you're banging. And the thing is, you'll find that someone banged her and then went and banged their girlfriend, say they were cheating or they're in an open relationship. And there's other people that'll bang her and go and just bang other women. So that in turn just has the number of people that are transmitting HIV just growing and growing. And considering that I recently learned, according to the Ministry of Health, that there are 1.1 million people in Nairobi who are HIV positive and are using ARV medication, like, yo, can people start strapping up? Because, yo, it's getting scary out here. Like, this shit isn't supposed to be happening, but clearly there's people who have malicious intent whenever they're trying to let us slide in. So for my homies, for the guys, please strap up. If you do not know the babe, if you do not trust the babe, hell, if you guys haven't even gone for an STD checkup together and she has no proof that she has no STDs, strap up. Like, that's just my personal advice. And for the babes, if you are going to smash a guy, hell, carry a condom. It doesn't even have to be a male condom. Carry a female condom, because those exist, and in some sense they actually work to your favor. So I might as well just deal with that real quick, then I can hop into today's topic. Although before I get into the topic, I would like to give a huge shout out to Tuzinda, one of our number one fans. Always gives that feedback, always checks in, and you know how we do. If you want to get that shout out, make sure you hit us up on the Break Time on Westside IG page at Break Time on Westside. You know, just ask for your shout out. You know, as you can see, I can clearly give shout outs and shit. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's get into the topic real quick. Now, over the past few weeks and say months, I've been seeing a lot of women online who've been bringing up the question of men and mental health. So like on Twitter, while I was busy looking through the different topics for Tweet Street, there was this one which was, why is it so hard for especially men to open up even when pushed to the wall? And then over the weekend, I saw this Facebook post by a certain media personality in Kenya called Shiko Moirori, which was actually talking about men and opening up about mental health. Now, here's the Facebook post, and I quote, "Men have it rough. When us girls have problems, we talk to each other. We have ice cream, drink some fine wine, and figure it out with our support systems. With guys, it's different. Who do you talk to when your wife is cheating on you? Who do you share with when you have no money? Not your friends. They are there for sports and deals. You will never let them see you cry. Who do you talk to if you feel broken, if you need restoration? We all need to unburden. I'm starting hour-long calls with men who need to unload about their lives, relationships, fears, whatever's weighing you down. What you cannot tell anyone else. I'll give a listening ear and the best advice I can. All content is confidential. Each hour-long session is 5K and will be conducted on phone for social distancing purposes. DM if you are interested. No judgment here, just a listening ear. PS, if your issues require a mental health expert, DM for recommendations for a professional. I'll be happy to point you in the right direction." And I did see this, and of course I usually have a bunch of different thoughts about such, and it still sort of did go towards the whole idea of men and mental health and opening up. Now, personally speaking, I don't think you need to pay the $5,000 for an hour-long call with her. Not that I'm trying to kill whatever business plan she has, because on one end, it seems like it's a bit much to pay for just for someone to listen to you. And on the other hand, it does seem genuine, because honestly, like, if she charged 7 Gs plus, then that it's a proper PR stunt. But considering that she's trying to make it affordable, and she's trying to make sure not that many people sort of buzz her line all day, it makes the whole 5 Gs thing make sense. But here's the thing, 5 Gs, 5,000 Kenyan bob, which is roughly about $50, about $48, $49, $50, is actually the same amount of money that you'd spend on a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a therapist. So it doesn't make sense having to tell, or at least having to pay a stranger, or at least an untrained person, for services that a trained professional can help you with in a much better matter. So I don't know, like, I didn't entirely get it. But the number one question is mental health. Why don't guys open up? And I figured I might as well just discuss it real quick. So here's the thing. With guys, there's usually about 2 kinds of male friends that we have. So there's those that are for entertainment, and those are the guys that we'll watch sports with. Those are the guys we will debate about cars with. Those are the people that we will plan the road trips and sort of just try and hang around and just have fun with. Those are the guys that you can even call your drinking buddies. But on the other side, there's the growth friends. Those are the ones that you will discuss business with, sort of try and use your friendship to grow each other in a sense. So like if there's a promotion at work, if you guys are trying to get a deal together, if you guys are trying to pull off deals together, those are the kinds of friends that will sort of be there. Those are the ones that you can have a healthy competition with and sort of trying to grow side to side with, even to the extent of like buying certain cars at the same time and getting married at the same time. And it's usually just those two main ones. Now, to put it into perspective, of course there's people that we can open up to, but here's the problem with guys. Because we have just the entertainment and the growth guys, we leave a lot that is never really spoken about. There's a lot of shit that we go through that we won't talk about on both ends. Maybe a little bit of support from the growth guys, but they won't talk about it in full detail. Hell, sometimes we just want to be listened to, and it'll be something that they won't be able to do, because naturally for us as guys, we are preconditioned from, I don't know, birth or some shit, that we should be looking for solutions to problems. We don't cry about them, we don't sit and complain about them or worry about them. We're supposed to get up and actually handle our issues. Now, we don't have the answers to everything. Hell, by all means, we're not supposed to have the answers all the time, but we usually try and make sure we act like we do, even when we don't, because who wants to look weak in front of everyone else? So it becomes an issue for us guys to actually open up. Now, on the other hand, you will find that guys aren't very good at listening, because if you start feeding me your problems as a typical guy, quote unquote, being typical guy, I would automatically start offering you solutions. And the thing is, it's usually not that simple for everything, because, you know, if it's something that is as basic as, oh, she cheated on me, it's usually like one of those two options of, do you want to stay with her and forgive her, or do you want to just ditch her and leave? Like, it's just one of those two options. But there's other situations where it's usually beyond that. Sometimes all that the other person wants is just to be listened to. Sometimes they want you to sympathize with them and sort of just be there for them. Hell, sometimes they don't even need you to say a single thing. And the thing is, guys aren't good at that. We're problem solvers. We prefer to handle the issue and take care of it the minute it comes through. Hell, we can procrastinate, but we want to handle the issue as it comes. And that becomes the biggest issue, as opposed to women who can actually sit down and discuss such issues, because they've actually been brought up to handle a lot of things like that. They're more open with each other. For them, being vulnerable isn't a bad thing, as opposed to guys. So the next question that some people would probably ask is, then why don't guys open up to women? Why don't we open up to the girls that are close to us, the women that are close to us in our lives? And the thing is, well, it's hard. Like, you guys haven't been guys, so it's very hard for you guys to relate to a lot of the issues that we can go through, because you don't understand the pressures that we go through, mostly because we don't speak up about them. You don't understand the issues that we might be going through. And for most of you, you don't entirely grasp the idea that we might be vulnerable, and you might actually end up offering us the same exact advice that our male friends might actually end up offering us. Then on the other hand, we don't want to look that vulnerable to you, because we're men. We're not supposed to be the vulnerable ones. Like, that's just how the old society has been. And on top of that, a lot of times guys have been vulnerable and have sort of opened up to women, only for those same women to turn around and use that same information against them. Like, that shit happens. Of course, not every woman will do that. Am I saying that every woman will turn against you? No. Am I saying that every woman will use whatever information you give them against you? No. But because it's happened before, and it's not an uncommon thing, we usually shy away from it. So normally the next option would be the psychiatrist, psychologist, the therapist. And that presents two issues as well. And it's that, one, there's the stigma, there's the perception of, if you're going to see a quote unquote shrink, which is a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, then you have a mental issue. And the truth of the matter is, you don't have to. You don't have to be mentally challenged for you to go and see one of them. You don't have to be at a position where it's like a proper mental case for you to have to go and see them. And that's something that's still taking a lot of people quite a while to sort of understand and sort of learn, as opposed to the old perception. Now, if you do manage to get past that bit, then now there's the second problem of affordability, because they're not exactly cheap, they're not exactly affordable to the average person, and it just seems harder for a lot of people to access such care because it's not at an affordable price. The 5K offer that was being offered up by Miss Shikomo Irori seems like, on one hand, it might be too expensive, but that's actually like the standard cost. That's usually there about the price that they charge for such things. And because not everyone is able to cough up the 5Gs, aka the $50 every week or so, then it becomes harder for them to access such care. So at the end of it, you're sort of left in this sort of zone where it's like, you feel like there's no one that you can open up to. You feel like there's no place where you can go and be listened to and be vulnerable. And at the end of it, that's why you hear that there's guys who have breakdowns. That's why you hear that there's men who commit suicide. Hell, more men commit suicide on average globally every year. So it sort of becomes like a common thing to hear guys who will be arriving home after a long day, break down in the car, just pretty much cry their hearts out, and then by the time they're walking into the house, it's when you look at them and they look all normal, like the day was okay, there was nothing that happened, and they seem to be fine. Yet in reality, they aren't. So as I conclude, let me just say this to the guys, my homies, my niggas, fellow men, fellow break time on West Side gents. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to open up to someone. Just make sure that the person is close and that you can completely trust them and that it's going to be kept confidential. And it's okay to cry. I won't lie, it's probably better if you cry in private in a dark corner somewhere where no one can see you, and then just make sure you keep up a brave face. Especially considering how I've seen what happens to guys when they cry in public and how people have ridiculed them and treated their situation like a joke. So, just if you're gonna cry, just make sure you do that shit in a very private place. But yeah, it is okay to open up. It is okay to not be okay. It is okay to feel weak and helpless. That way, you can know that there's nothing wrong with actually getting up and asking for help from someone else. Not everyone, but it is okay nonetheless. Now, to my fellow ladies, please tell your fellow men that it's okay to open up and be vulnerable. They don't have to be vulnerable to you. They just have to be vulnerable and open up and mention the fact that they have issues to someone that's close to them. It could be you, and that would be, really good for the both of you, mainly for the mans. But as long as they open up to someone that's close to them, they should be okay. It doesn't have to be you, but as long as they open up. Anyways, I want to know your thoughts on this. The DMs are open. The Instagram handle is at Breaktime on Westside. On Facebook, it is also at Breaktime on Westside. And on Twitter, if you want to hit up my personal DMs, it is at Bagaka the D, the B and the D are capital. I will catch you guys on the next break. Take care.